This video was made possible by CuriosityStream. This is New York Harbor, or the Port of New York and New Jersey if you want to be specific. It's one of the largest and longest standing natural harbors in the world, as well as being the busiest port on the east coast of North America. This has been possible because of New York's amazing geography. See, this harbor has natural protection due to the surrounding land of Staten Island, Brooklyn and New Jersey. Add to this great depth and you get the perfect harbor to facilitate economic and social growth of any city. And this is exactly what happened to New York City and New York State. But the harbor is only part of the equation, as it's part of what we know as the Hudson River. A river that conveniently runs through the boroughs of Staten Island and Brooklyn to Albany, New York's capital, making this a perfectly integrated body of water. This is why New York Harbor has served as a trade point between Europe and the entirety of North America's east coast for centuries. What doesn't surprise me though is that New York Harbor was initially founded as a Dutch trading port. I mean, obviously the people who know how to beat the ocean were also involved in picking out this geographic masterpiece. The discovery of New York's potential came about in the early 1600s when Henry Hudson, the first European to navigate what would eventually become the Hudson River, realized the pleasing conditions this coastline had to offer. After sailing northwards, he reported to the Dutch West India Company that he'd found a potential port that was uniquely sheltered from storm surges, extreme wind, ice, and enemy attacks. You see, the mouth of the Hudson is located in between Staten Island and Brooklyn, completely protecting Manhattan and the harbor. This was great news for the Dutch, who quickly seized the opportunity back in the day, securing the best way to get cargo across the world, which was the ocean. So they arrived on what was called the Manhattan Island and made the New Amsterdam settlement in 1625, and as time went on, its closeness to Europe and the Atlantic Ocean proved invaluable as it became the trading center of the United States, a position it still holds to this day. A trip from the United Kingdom to the New York Harbor barely exceeds 3,000 nautical miles, making it a major connecting point for the two continents. But the diverse landscapes of New York obviously entails much more than just a harbor. Boroughs like Staten Island and Queens host amazing beaches, while the salt marshes of Brooklyn, Long Island and Jamaica Bay offer rare wildlife and even greater protection from the Atlantic and its storm surges and swells. Whether it's rolling plains, remodeled marshlands or powerful waterfalls, New York has developed diverse geography that would take a lifetime to explore. But its uniqueness is perhaps best expressed in New York City, the heart of the state. And to understand why New York's geography and geology work well and how it's resulted in the city and state we see today, let's take a look at Manhattan. This island has become an iconic part of Western culture despite only being 22.6 square miles. A majority of the city's annual 63 million tourists find themselves here, as Manhattan holds the Empire State Building, Grand Central Station, Central Park, the Chrysler Building, Times Square, and the notorious Billionaire's Row, which features dozens of thin skyscrapers. And if you would like to know more about the interesting urban geography of New York City and how it came to be America's largest, most iconic city by far, I recommend you go watch New York City Revealed on CuriosityStream. It's a 10-part series that explores the mostly unseen network of infrastructure systems that work together to keep the incredible city breathing. Everything about New York City, from the taxis to the parks to the airports and even the rats, are all discussed, making it the best show on New York that I personally have ever seen. In fact, it's trending right now, and I'll tell you, it's for good reason. But don't worry, if you're not into that, CuriosityStream still has you covered. This streaming platform is essentially Netflix for the people who want to dive deeper into some of the most interesting topics regarding history, nature, science, food, technology, travel, and more. They even have award-winning exclusives and originals like Beyond the Spotlight with Mr. Beast, a creator I have great admiration for. With thousands of their entertaining movies and TV shows, your curiosity will surely be fulfilled. And if you use my code OBF to sign up, you'll get everything I just mentioned and more for just $14.99 for the whole year, streaming to any device for viewing anytime, anywhere. So go to the link in the description and sign up for CuriosityStream today with code OBF. Thank you again to CuriosityStream for sponsoring this video. Alright, so all of these buildings standing on Manhattan Island stand here for a very specific reason. And trust me, this didn't happen by chance, as the reason behind the large number of skyscrapers in downtown and midtown lies within the very soil they stand on. The reason being that the island of Manhattan is made up of 3 distinct rock formations, namely the Manhattan Schist, Inwood Marble, and Fordham Gneiss. These rocks were caused by a metamorphic process that also gave rise to the red garnet that's often found underground while excavations in New York take place. The schist, marble, and gneiss were further compressed by former mountain ranges, hardening them and creating a strong underbelly. So Manhattan has a very strong foundation and bedrock. Too bad it's covered by sandy marshes, gravel, clay, and large boulders. Just take a look at lower Manhattan soil. Going past the ground level, you won't get too far before you're introduced to the quicksand-style swamp marsh that lies along New York's waterline. The bedrock is underneath, but it's nearly impossible to dig out quicksand without getting sucked in. So why didn't city planners leave it alone and head towards greener pastures? After all, you can access the bedrock directly in some parts of the Bronx, which is the only part of New York City that's also connected to the mainland. The answer lies in the economic growth both Midtown and Lower Manhattan were experiencing. As the city grew, businesses flocked to the coveted land of Midtown and Downtown because that's where the action was, and because of the influx of people, they thought to build upwards. But how did skyscraper builders tackle the case of quicksand? Well, they used caissons. These were basically large hollowed out cubes with no bottoms that could swallow the quicksand and act as an extended version of the bedrock to support the skyscraper. It's the same technology that was used to build the 21 bridges connecting Manhattan to the rest of New York. Much like skyscrapers, bridges needed sturdy but flexible ground to deal with the Earth's movement, temperature, and the wind that comes along with being this close to the ocean. Just look at the Manhattan Bridge. Flying over the East River, this bridge connects Manhattan with Western Brooklyn and was built around the same time many of the city's early skyscrapers were also popping up. And while this caisson technology was tough to build, considering workers had to go underwater, it worked out and led to the unique skyline we see today. Though Manhattan's variety extends past the majestic buildings of downtown and midtown to a unique and iconic stop in the city's geography: Central Park. This little patch of greenery amongst the concrete jungle sticks out just as much as the skyscrapers themselves, and with good reason. It's been around for around 160 years and is one of the few green spaces on the island with a very specific function. Before 1850, Central Park was known as the marshland that served as a squatters' settlement for around 1,600 people. As urban sprawl advanced on the island, inhabitants called for a place that took them out of the hectic city. The city's more affluent residents got together and plotted out a place that would give city dwellers a taste of upstate New York with its lush greenery and serene nature. After the contested displacement of the residents, 2 designers dreamt up the Central Park concept. These 843 acres stretch from 59th to 106th Street and feature 36 bridges, 11 overpasses, mini lakes, and rivers. The initial $15 million investment and 15 years of build time completely transformed the marshes. Its main geographical function was recreational, but it added a new ecology to the city as well. With over $1 billion spent over the years on maintenance and an annual visitorship of 42 million, Central Park enriches the city's landscape and diversifies its geographical layout. So all of these features come together to make New York's geography amazing. And even though New York does face threats from storm surges and other natural disasters, city planners, citizens, and those with any stake in the Big Apple will most likely find a way to preserve the geographical monument that is New York for decades to come. After all, that's what's been keeping it going so far. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.